Hello everybody, I'm Claire and welcome to my video blog. Well, first of all, before I say anything else, I would like to thank Millennial Woes for his appreciation and his encouragement of my blogging and my video channel. So thank you very much, Woes. Great work yourself. I'm really encouraged. Thanks a lot. Now, the thing is, at the moment, everything is happening so fast that there's not really any point in me making an immediate commentary on the current state of, Boris falling out, Andrea Leadsom, the blah blah blah, and the Labour Party tearing itself apart, because it's all been happening so fast, and I'm sure we'll go through, future phases as we come through the coming weeks. What I'm more interested in really is the kind of overview of what's been happening, because I see it as a kind of historical breakthrough of truth. We've been living in a world which has been completely, or almost completely, subverted by globalism, which is the expression of these cartels, economic and then political control, all that. And clearly there has been for quite some time, Jean Monnet and all this, a convergence of what they wanted on this big EU superstate, right? So what's happened now is that this is, completely overturned it. This completely overturned their concept. Obviously, they have the momentum. They're like this super express train that's, going along the tracks, gets derailed, but it's still got all that momentum. So that's the EU. Well, we'll let them get on with it, because I don't think we'll be... I saw a comment today suggesting that we don't really need to worry about the EU because it will be dead before our negotiations are finished, even if that starts soon and is over in 2 years. And I fully concur with that. Just look at the fragments. It's like an iceberg breaking up when it drifts into tropical seas. And I'm absolutely fascinated by the way that the corrupt elites, who are the political representatives of this globalist cartel, which followed back up to Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley, Rothschilds, blah blah blah, Bilderberg, all that. And so what I'm interested in is the mass psychological dynamics of a population that is breaking out from this kind of sealed over layer. And I've been astonished. I think I said this in a blog the other day. Mandelson saying that we live in a post-democratic age. I mean, that is really a declaration of war on the people, isn't it? I mean, come on. People are talking about this is a decision which is too big for the people. I can't remember who it was that said that. Probably several people. Then we've had the populist. Everybody's saying, oh, this is populist. We can't have it because it's populist. All populist means is it's the term the elites have for the people when they step out of line and start saying, hey, you're not representing us. You're only a small minority of people who have, strings that you can pull. And the only way we can change that is by having a mass collective thing. Well, hopefully these days we don't do it with pitchforks and torches, because that can turn out nasty. But the ballot box seems to have done quite well the other day. And I'm fascinated to see the way that the polarisation is taking place between these two factions. Each party has exactly the same thing. It's slightly more uncontrolled in the Labour Party because that's kind of got more internal contradictions. But the same thing with the Tories, and I'm very, very glad to see an outside candidate coming in there. Always nice to see outside candidates, because when you have this situation where the globalists, they like to control all parties. So, you know, when one party's been in power for a long time and they get a bit discredited and used up, then you can ditch them. But you've already got your fingers in controlling the other party, so you bring them onto the stage. And so they like to think they've got all options covered, and they usually do. But when outside candidates come along, particularly outside candidates who look good, turns it upside down. And we've got this all over. I think the Labour Party is the only one who hasn't got some kind of outside candidate who's, because Jeremy Corbyn's the outside candidate, isn't he? But no, seriously, I mean, obviously there's an outside candidate coming through in the Conservative Party, and in America, both sides, Trump and Sanders, are both outside candidates, and Hillary is the one who's being squeezed, I think, and she, in a way, represents the, you know, in America it's the Clinton consensus, whatever that means. In this country it's Blair, and we're only, I think, 3 days away from the publishing of the Chilcot report, so I'm going to be logging onto I think there's going to be an e-version of that available, so I'll be logging onto that fairly quickly to see what the conclusions are. We've already received one report from Public Inquiry here in North Leeds, and we were very pleased with that, because you can actually win these things sometimes. Now, it was only a local planning inquiry, but it was a pretty big deal around here, but we won, and so I've had a 1,000-page document sitting here for a little while. Well, I imagine Chilcot might go to probably, I think it's several million words. I think it's well beyond the Leeds Trolleybus inquiry, Chilcot. And at the same time, Hillary is being investigated by the FBI, and I'm not quite sure how far that is, but there's just this fascinating, what I would call metaphysical parallels. There are like underlying mass psychological dynamics going on here in the whole of the Western cultural sphere. I mean, they might be going on in other countries as well. I don't really, you know, quite follow in detail what's going on in China, because you'd probably need detailed intelligence briefings to really understand that. Obviously, the main game in town, you know, is the Euro-American world at the moment, and the parallel things that are going on with the political establishments. And it is my view that there is. This is beyond what can be controlled by psychological manipulation through the media. That's been going on through most of the 20th century. I suppose they even did it with newspapers in the 19th century, you know, and then radio in the early 20th century, and then there was TV and all this, and it was all going nicely to plan, you know, world government through the EU, and you know, the Clinton type of, you know, cronyism. And suddenly the people are speaking now, and it's the train's coming off the tracks for them, because the people, who I guess are the tracks for them to ride on, they've just, you know, turned the tracks away, and they cannot do this without the people. And that, but you know, so you've got these people like Mandelson saying it's post-democratic, and well, I think that we have to, you know, press our suit, as they used to say, press our case, and not let the mainstream candidates have their way, because it's always preferable to get the outsiders in, not the establishment. The establishment people are all puppets and cronies, The will of the people must break through. If it doesn't, if it is suppressed at this moment, this is that moment that Brutus, said, there is a tide in the affairs of men, which if taken at the flood, brings success. And we must take this moment. And I think it will carry us through, because there is momentum. This is not just us alone. It is a mass awareness. And I'm very, very interested in the way that this, I would see what's happening now as the awakening, the alternative, the counterculture, the New Age movement, all that. I've been involved with that. We've all been talking about an awakening, the human race needs to awake, all this. And then there was this kind of false dawn in 2011, which we realised was very much manipulated. It was taking popular feeling and manipulating it. And then that all went kind of sour, and, the Arabic false dawn turned into Islamic jihad against us. And Clinton destroying the Middle East. It's a little bit to do with that, of course. And it's like now as if we've come from back round from behind the curve, when we just completely, have taken them. We've taken ourselves by surprise, and this has been like a spark to the collective psyche. And I don't think that it can be diverted. I think there would be political catastrophe, I think, if we had one of these candidates, such as Theresa May, Hillary Clinton, getting in to control the affairs, because they're so out of touch with the current, the undercurrent, the collective mind. They would be at war with it. Theresa May, with all her pro-Islam sucking up to Sharia, absolutely atrocious. We need to have somebody who is one nation, and that one nation is British, and we cannot have these people kowtowing to foreign values, hollowing out little enclaves of themselves. What people do in private, I don't mind what people do in private, but that should not extend to creating enclaves which are above the law, basically, which are above the law, and that's absolutely not accessible. And that's what Theresa May represents, the as they call it in America now, cuckservatives, people who sell out, completely sell out, just so that they can be in power. So I think it's a very strong current at the moment, and we're seeing it throughout Europe. If Norbert Hofer can win the election in, I think it's September, probably now, in Austria, I think that will be a fantastic victory. We may already have several smaller victories in between, although some kind of just the dirt on Tony Blair on Wednesday will be fantastic, because even if he isn't immediately indicted, which is probably a bit unlikely, but nonetheless it will be definitely food for us all to attack him, I'm quite certain. And there are so many other things that are kind of bumbling around in my mind. I don't think I can keep up with them all. It's all putting into a big kind of archetypal stew at the moment, which is a rising ferment of popular will against what actually, I think will historically be looked back on as tyrants. At least, whatever. At least, say Mussolini, he was popular with his own people. I mean, whatever you might say about him, at least he was popular with his own people on the rise. He wasn't popular when he fell. This is what happens. But the people who are trying to run the show at the moment, they're not even popular with their own people. So what does that say, really? I mean, Blair trying to elbow his way into being part of the EU negotiations. I mean, really, these people are beyond disbelief. You know, they will just keep on trying this. You know, as they fall off the edge, they will still be telling people, "I was right, I was right, I was right." You know, but history is leaving them behind, and we have to go with what the will was, and I think these people are going to be swept away. It's just such a fascinating time, and this is like a tidal swell, a tidal surge, a tsunami, really, isn't it? Because this has got completely out of control of what the what the media and the people at the top wanted to think was possible. They're still trying, and they're still scamming it on us, but they're out of touch, and there's still a long way, to go on this, and I think there'll be time for several political careers to rise and fall between now and the autumn, when these things will all be will finally settle into the way they are. And I'm very optimistic about it, because not just because we've broken the mold and we've stepped outside of the paradigm, and we've done this is like, oh my God, what happened? People tried to take control. But it's got it seems to have a collective energy, and we've all suddenly said, oh yeah, this is the moment we've all been waiting for, and we're not going to take it any longer. And it's really just wonderful. So I look forward to seeing Clinton and May and even eventually Merkel fall, because they're walking on thin ice. They don't have thick ice beneath them any longer. They think they do, and they're just deluded people thrashing around. So that's my thoughts for the moment. It will be a very interesting week with Tony Blair. The establishment is failing. This is the point. This is my point today. The establishment is failing, and they're still deluded and thinking that they can pull it back, and they can't, because it's crumbling beneath their feet everywhere you look. Okay, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye. Almost completely subverted by globalism, which is the expression of these cartels, economic and then political control, all that. And clearly there has been for quite... Hello everybody, I'm Claire, and welcome to my video blog. Well, first of all, before I say anything else, I would like to thank Millennial Woes for his appreciation and his encouragement of my blogging and my video channel. So thank you very much, Woes. Great work yourself. I'm really encouraged. Thanks a lot. Now, the thing is, at the moment, everything is happening so fast that there's not really any point in me making an immediate commentary on the current state of Boris falling out, Andrea Leadsom, the blah blah blah, and the Labour Party tearing itself apart, because it's all been happening so fast, and I'm sure we'll go through future phases as we come through the coming weeks. What I'm more interested in really is the kind of overview of what's been happening, because I see it as a kind of historical breakthrough of truth. we've been living in a world which has been completely, or quite some time, Jean Monnet, all this, a convergence of what they wanted on this big EU superstate, right? So what's happened now is that this is, completely overturned it. This completely overturned their concept. Obviously, they have the momentum. They're like this super express train that's, going along the tracks, gets derailed, but it's